What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, gonna go through the trades that we took today inside the Discord, as well as the game plan going into tomorrow. Today was a really good day. I mean, we got really good price action. We got some really good trades, and I'm gonna show you exactly, what I saw in the charts, how I took these trades, and the reason behind it. So, off of open today, this is where we opened up. So, on the 30-minute chart, this is what I'm looking at right now. The 30-minute chart on the 670 calls for this Friday's expiration. So, this chart. On the puts and the call side tells me the trend in the market. So pretty much if this side's crossed, the bulls have the trend. I went over this in yesterday's video that, the 30-minute chart was still crossed, but 50 ended up turning down, and I was taking this as a neutral market, which means that neither side has the trend. And what we got today was like a picture perfect scenario, and I went over it in yesterday's video that, if we do break and lose this 50, most likely we're going to get a put cross, and we're going to get a really good move out of it. And that's exactly what happened, because we lost that major support here, that 50 SMA, and it was crossing negative, 10's crossing below the 50. And then same thing on the hourly time frame. We ended up losing this 1 hour 50 right here. We lost it right here, crossed negative, and that's why we ended up dropping lower today. And we actually ended up bottoming out at right at the 50 SMA. This 50 SMA here on the 30-minute, it's a major pivot point. So this is on the put side, and when we're neutral, we tend to just bounce between the 50 SMAs on the puts and the calls. So since the call side ended up crossing negative, a lot of the times we go and see a nice move to the downside. Since this is on the call side, we're expecting these contracts to continue trading lower, and in turn we get a move on the put side. And when we do get a really hefty drop, this 50 SMA is where we could potentially bounce from, and most of the time this is where we do bottom out intraday when it comes to big moves down intraday. So I didn't take anything off of this 50, but you could have taken a stab at it once we did hit that 50 on some longs. But I took my entry here off of the 5-minute on the put side. So if we look here on the call side, obviously there was nothing going on all day because of the drop. You can see there was no opportunity. Calls got absolutely destroyed, so there's nothing for me to take. What I'm looking for is a cross on either side, and since obviously the bulls ended up losing that 50, crossing negative, we got to move on the downside. So look at this chart right here, super clean chart. I mean, look at this. I ended up entering during this candle here at 1025. So let me check the Discord really quickly of when I called this out at, but I'm pretty sure it's 1025 or 1026 is when we entered. I think 1026. Yeah, so 1026 I shorted. I actually did end up taking a loss today. I completely forgot about that actually. But yeah, I ended up taking a loss just because I ended up playing this off of the open. It's really hard to see. Actually, I'm going to drag the screenshot over. This was a higher risk trade just because I usually always say I'm not taking any trades for the first like 15, 30 minutes. So this was a trade off of open pretty much. I mean, we ended up entering this at 9:40, so only 10 minutes. So I went lighter size on this. I knew the risk I was taking, so I didn't want to be sized in too much on this. But I'm gonna show you guys a screenshot that we had here just to give you a reference on why I took this. But I like the the risk reward on this. I mean, if this ended up playing out, this would have been a really good trade, obviously. But this is what we got. So this is what happened. I mean, we ended up getting this cross right here, and I just entered because again that 30-minute chart looked like it was gonna break below the 50 and cross negative. So that's why I ended up taking this short. Was it the best trade in the world? Definitely not, just because we're 10 minutes into the open, and yeah, we ended up losing the 50. I ended up stopping out for 25 points on NQ. So I still kept my loss pretty small because I noticed that we started to break below the 50. I didn't wait for the candle closure, so I just got out, and yeah, I took a 25-point loss, but we ended up bouncing back with this put cross, and we caught a massive move. So like I said, I was only light size on that, lost 25 points, then we came back, and this was a really good setup, really good trade, and we just played this 10 crossing the 50. I went short at 1026, so that was during this candle right here. So I didn't wait for the closure. I think I got in these when the contracts were around like 150, I believe, 150, maybe 145. But yeah, I mean, really clean cross. You'd see 10 cross back above the 50, got our short entry, and look at the move. I mean, if you waited for the closure, 184 all the way up to 324, that's a really nice move on the premium. I ended up catching 100 points on this trade on NQ. I sold it all at 100. I took half off, around like 55, 60 points. And since we had that 30-minute chart in Confluence, that's why I ended up only trimming half the position, because so this is how I do my take profits. I've definitely went over this before, but when it comes to taking profits, it depends the type of market we're in. All right, so today we're neutral, but the 30-minute chart was in confluence with my trade crossing negative. So I treat that as just as good as a trending market 0DT cross. So I'm looking for a really solid move out of this before I take anything off the table. So, you know, once I get at 50, 60 points, I'll trim half, but I'm going to hold the other half, and I'm expecting that, you know, 80 to 100 point range on the other half of the position. Usually it's more so closer to 100, and that's why I end up holding all of it until today. So we got that 100 points, I got all out, and I'm pretty sure even dumped more than that. It probably went like 150 points, but yeah, when we have that 30-minute chart in confluence with the 0DT chart, that's where I expect a larger move and hold for longer. When we're completely neutral, where, you know, we're not taking any trades from the 30-minute, like crossing negative or crossing positive, when we're like really neutral, then I'm looking for 50 points and selling it all out, because when we're usually really neutral, 50 points is kind of the limit, upper limit of the trade. So that's kind of how I do my TPs. I'm never selling more than that or selling less than that. Like 50 points is like my staple, unless we're super, super choppy and super, super neutral. But on a day like today where we have the 30-minute chart in confluence, I'm not trimming anything before 50. I know the moves that these crosses give, and it's like 50 points is kind of like that. Like, it's a perfect number to start taking trims at when it comes to these crosses. Anything less is just not worth it in my opinion, because, you know, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that 50-point move, and especially with a 30-minute chart in confluence, I'm looking for that bigger move, and the probability is in my favor to holding longer. So that's what we did. Got a nice move, and I packed it up at that. I mean, those two trades right there is all I did for the day. I took a loser, but we bounced back with a really big winner. That's the good thing about the loss today. I mean, 25 points. You know, if I could keep my losses anywhere less than 30 points, that's a really good trade in my opinion to, you know, minimize, or not good trade, but you know what I mean, keeping my loser small. That's a good loser to take. If you're able to, you know, only take your losses between 20, 30 points, you know, less is better, obviously, but, you know, on average, if you take a loss between 20 and 30 and your winners are at least 50 to like 60 points, I mean at least 50 points, I mean, you know, your risk to reward is really good there, and over a long period of time you're going to be, and like those losses are just going to get overcame by those winners, and that's what I try to do with my trades. So, you know, it's very simple to understand. We just took the 0DT call cross. Or the put cross. It might seem a little confusing if you're completely new to this, because there's kind of, you know, you're flipping through the puts, the calls, the Friday contracts, the 0DT charts, but as you watch the videos, you'll see a pattern on, you know, the trades I'm looking for, the trades I'm taking, why I'm taking them, and hopefully you guys pick up some things, you know, when you're watching these videos. But yeah, another trade opportunity. I did tell the Discord that this 50 SMA was most likely gonna hold, because it's the same concept as that 30-minute negative cross with this positive cross. And I was expecting a continuation move down, and just like how when we have trend in the market on the 30-minute, you could buy this dip, it's kind of the same thing. Since the chart was crossing negative, this was more likely to hold than to break. So if you wanted to, you could have taken a position right here and you know, added some more when you started break above the 10. And this 10 SMA reclaim, you could have taken this. Honestly, I posted in the Discord of when I would have taken it. I said it looked really good as it was starting to break above this 10 SMA, and obviously the 50 SMA sloped up, 10's up. You know, you could have taken this, caught some points. I'm pretty sure that went like 70, 80 points if you did take it. If you waited for the candle closure, you probably would have only made maybe like 40, 50. Maybe I would say maybe 50 on that. I'm not really too sure what it gave after this candle, but yeah. Then we came back down to the 50. We ended up reclaiming the 10 SMA right here. You could have went short again, but the 10 SMA was a little ugly on the next candle open. So, or not this candle, maybe it was this one on this open. So you could have waited for the closure here, slope back up. You could have gotten in, and I mean, I know there was news that came out, but obviously that printed. I mean, I don't even know. I think it might have been like a 100-point candle there. To the downside, I think some news came out. Trump was talking maybe, or tweeted something or posted something that caused a drop. But yeah, we ended up getting a massive wick down, and we ended up filling that wick. And we ended up reclaiming the 10 SMA right here. You know, you may have taken this, may have not. I mean, it didn't get, you know, as close as some people would want to the 50 here to play the reclaim, because when we do play the reclaim of the 10 SMA, you want to see a dip somewhat near the 50. It doesn't have to hit it exactly, but somewhat near it. Didn't, you know, what, $3 here, 50's probably around like 220s. So, you know, I wouldn't say that's the most ideal 10 SMA reclaim, but if you want to take a stab at it, you could have. And obviously, if we get closure back below the 10, you just get out, and, you know, you would have printed a fat move out of it. So a lot of opportunity today when it came to the system. I mean, there was no reason to be taking longs because this chart was literally across the entire day. If you wanted to play longs, the only really time you could have done it was on that. I mean, news candle would have been risky, but I posted in the Discord that we're nearing that 30-minute 50. So, you know, it would have been a higher risk trade. But we came back up into the 50, and the 50 was sloped down super hard, as you can see in this screenshot. The 50 SMA is trending down super hard. That ended up marking the bottom right there at, what, 2 o'clock. And, you know, we ended up seeing a fat move higher from that 50. Like I said, we just ping pong between these 50s usually when we're neutral. And, you know, I tend to not play the like 30-minute chart like with futures. I usually wait for some sort of entry on the 0DT chart. But, you know, I would just go a little bit lighter on these types of trades when it comes to playing the 30 minutes. Since it's a larger time frame, you may have some more drawdown than you would on a 0DT chart before it goes in your favor. But again, you could, you know, play it all how you want. Like, you could just take a position, and then once it starts to go in your favor, add some more to your position and kind of just keep a tight stop from there. But that's what we did today. And I'm still currently in a swing trade that I haven't closed the last couple days. It's kind of not moving too much. I think I'm up like 25%. I think it peaked at around 40 today, but I'm still holding that. But yeah, those were the only trades that I ended up taking today. It was just that 25-point loss and then that 100-point winner on the put cross. So if you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. That's where I'm at all day, every day. I have plenty of examples in there on how I trade these charts, and I have 2 channels pretty much dedicated to, you know, how I pick these contracts and the trades you want to be taking, and also a channel with examples, you know, of the visuals of these charts on, you know, how to take the crosses. So that's the place to be if you want to learn. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment, join the Discord, drop a message in the free Discord if you have a question. I'll be sure to answer it and help you guys out. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.